Welcome to Skwat Tawks. Tonight we're going to be talking about the warm-up and technical work. And as I do that, you're going to be watching me do a 15-minute EDT session with singles at 315 pounds in the squat and doing some pull-ups, rotating between those two for 15 minutes. I'm just trying to get some technique work in actually with this EDT session. I'm trying to acclimate myself to using 315 for repeat efforts. 315 is not a heavy weight, but it's felt heavy to me for quite some time. And I'm trying to kind of get over that hump there with 315 so that it isn't such a big deal to me. It's been a while since I've kind of worked up in weight much past 225, so the past year or so that I've been working with 315 more regularly in training, I'm just trying to get used to that. Eventually I'd like to be hitting high reps with it. But tonight we're talking about the warm-up and we're talking about technique work, and I've heard some things on social media that, I don't know, I think are just kind of wrong thinking, and so I'd like to address those. One of them is this idea that every rep should be the same. Your first rep of your workout to the last, every rep should be exactly the same. And on some social media accounts there, people are sharing their videos that show the first rep with the empty bar all the way up to 600, 700. These are some really strong people working up to very heavy weights. I think that's well intended, but I think it's also not necessarily accurate picture of how a lot of people warm up. And I would say that most people who've been around the strength game for quite some time understand that your reps in the warm-up and your reps with the empty bar are going to be quite different technically than your weights when your efforts, with higher weights. One of the things that I remember hearing Dave Tate say many years ago, and I found this to be true myself, even though I never really went much past 500 pounds in squat, was that your technique changes as you get stronger, and your technique changes as you add weight to the bar. Your technique with the empty bar is going to be different than your technique with 135, is going to be different than your technique with 225. Is going to be different than your technique with 315, 405, 495, etc. So I feel like every step of the way, as you progress, things are just going to look a little bit different. And your body is probably going to change as you get stronger as well. So you're going to see technical changes as you get stronger and stronger, and as you add weight and more weight to the bar. I think this idea of every rep being the same, it just doesn't hold true a lot of times. Maybe sometimes, and for some people it does, but in general I haven't found that to be the case. Now that I'm older, now that I'm an older squatter, I find that the first few reps with the empty bar, my first few sets with the empty bar, each set gets progressively smoother. You might notice in this workout where I'm doing an EDT session of 315 singles, I don't remember how many singles I end up doing. It's probably like 6 or 7 singles. Each single starts to look smoother as we go, and when I do dynamic effort work as well, I'll do multiple doubles in a workout. Things tend to get smoother as we progress. Technique gets smoother. Especially during the warm-up, things are going to look pretty rough. In a perfectly healthy body, a younger body, maybe that wouldn't be as apparent, but certainly I've seen that more and more, that my reps with the empty bar are quite different than as I go up in sets and volume. Things tend to smooth out with time. One of the things also I want to say about technique work, and I've had a lot of people who used to message me about getting better technically with their squat. You have to add weight. technical work, if it's too light, I'm not sure it really has much impact on your technique with heavy weight. You need to do heavy work to get better at technique with heavy weights. It doesn't work out so well if you only practice, for example, with 135 and then you throw on 315 or 405. It's going to be quite different. Your technical work at 135 certainly might help, but it's not going to be enough to have lasting changes and improvement in your technique with heavy weights. You'll notice here I'm finishing up with some Bulgarian split squats. Lately I've been having some issues with glute medius and IT band and the TFL kind of tightness and things like that. I found that by doing some Bulgarian split squats at the end, things tend to loosen up a little bit. So I've been adding that to the mix. I also find that, for example, doing some loaded carries and walking in the backyard now that the weather's gotten nicer has seemed to alleviate some of that. Stretching helps, and I find it to be of benefit, but these are the things that seem to really have an impact. All right, that's all I have for you tonight, and thank you for joining us on Skwat Talks.